Four friends wake up in a van, apparently after crashing into a field when they passed out. They play with the Ain't Rights, a punk rock group. The friends include Sam and Tiger, who was driving the vehicle. Pat notices that the vehicle is out of fuel while Reese steps out to pee. Pat and Sam take a bike ride to a nearby parking lot and steal some of the fuel from a vehicle. They return with the fuel and make an effort to bring their own vehicle to life. The band meets up with Tad for an interview in his radio show. He gives them his apartment keys and asks them to spend the night there because he works late night and will meet them in the morning. Tad shows up the following morning and conducts the interview with the band. He asks the group what would be a desert island band for them. Pat is unable to think of one, but Reese, Sam, and Tiger can. Following the interview, the group is given a chance to perform at a gig, but their performance is not much appreciated by the audience. As a result, their pay is meager, and is barely decent split among the four of them. After an unsatisfying outcome, Tad informs the group that he has made an arrangement for them to perform at his cousin's place of employment, where the pay is higher. They travel the whole night, and arrive at the location in the morning, a skinhead bar. They get to know Daniel, Tad's cousin, who welcomes them in a mischievous manner. The band's name was spelled the Aren't Rights by the managers. Their rendition of Nazi Punks is met with disapproval by the audience as they approach the stage. A different song is subsequently played, but it is not met with much more enthusiasm. The band receives their money and is ready to leave after the performance. Sam left her phone in the green room, and Pat goes to get it. Upon entering, he finds Worm and Amber positioned over the lifeless body of Amber's companion Emily, who has a knife embedded in her skull. Pat loses it and leaves the room while dialing 911. Sam, Reese, and Tiger are pushed inside the room by Big Justin and Gabe, two bouncers. Justin takes away their phones and holds each person at gunpoint. In reaction to the 911 call, Gabe gathers two teenage skinheads, and they stab each other in an attempt to create a fake scenario in front of the cops. When Darcy, the club's owner, shows there, he declares the band needs to be dealt with. Darcy gets the details from Gabe and seems unhappy with the situation. As Justin starts threatening the group with his gun, Reese pins him down and threatens to break his arm as the band attacks and seizes his rifle. When they release him, Reese points the rifle at him as a result. As Darcy listens from the outside and realizes that they have taken Justin hostage, he begins with some other plans to sort the matter out. A power failure at the club causes a brief panic among the patrons, but Amber calms everyone down by lighting a cigarette with her lighter, giving Justin the cigarette, and telling the band to keep an eye on the cherry in case anything seems weird. The lights come back on after that. Darcy calmly discusses the problem with the band while standing outside the green room. They consent to surrender the weapon but retain the ammunition. Pat is still suspicious, even after Darcy claims that the police have left. Outside the room, Pat prepares to give the gun to Darcy, who insists that no one else is with him. When Amber looks through the vents and sees another pair of feet, this is shown to be a hoax. Before she can warn them, Reese tries to hit Darcy with a rod, and Pat's arm is severely broken. After pinning Justin back down and breaking his arm, Reese chokes him until he faints. When Reese is unable to kill him, Amber slashes him open with a box cutter to end the conversation. The group begins to breach the floorboards in search of an escape route, as Darcy and the skinheads plot to get rid of them. This takes them to a bunker, where a heroin enterprise is managed by skinheads. The group heads back to the room, because there isn't an exit down there. Tiger grabs some duct tape from the bunker, and assists Pat in applying duct tape to his arm. The party decides to arm itself with a weapon, and make a dash for it, since they have no other options. When Tiger and Reese escape, a pit bull tears out Tiger's throat, and he eventually dies. Reese flees from a back window, but is fatally stabbed. Sam, Pat, and Amber have to remain in the room, as they were now the only three left. Outside, Darcy and his gang is making plans to frame the band for all crimes, and decide to send Daniel, and one skinhead, inside the room to kill them all. When Daniel and the skinhead enter the room, Amber informs Daniel that Worm killed Emily because he thought she would run away with Daniel, and that Darcy is now planning to blame the band for Emily's death. After learning the truth, Daniel sends the skinhead back and assists the band in escaping. As the three follow Daniel downstairs to retrieve some firearms, a skinhead shoots Daniel in the face with a buckshot. In retaliation, Pat uses a machete to slay the skinhead. With a shotgun in hand, the three flee outside to confront the skinheads. They are instructed not to shoot Amber by Darcy. After Sam is shot in the leg, the pit bull mauls her. Amber and Pat return to their room, both exhausted and afraid. The pit bull also received a shot in the battle, and his owner gives him a sedative to keep him alive for some time. Pat shares a story about a paintball competition he went to, drawing comparisons between it and his current predicament, because in both cases he was outnumbered. Then, he and Amber devise a survival strategy. To kill Pat and Amber, Darcy sends two skinheads into the green room. They discover Pat, who has black paint on his face and a shorn head, shrieking incoherently. One skinhead jumps into the bunker after him. The other skinhead sits above and keeps watch, not realizing that Amber is hidden in the couch. She crawls out, and uses the box cutter to slit the skinhead's throat. The first skinhead goes looking for Pat with the shotgun. By tossing the bodies of Emily, Justin, and the second skinhead on the ground, Amber diverts his attention. Pat jumps at the opportunity to take the skinhead's gun, but they battle over it. After killing one skinhead, Amber descends with the gun, and shoots the other one dead. Pat and Amber head back up, as Gabe heads to the room, as he is removing the evidences. He expresses regret for the events, and says he doesn't want to go to jail. Pointing their firearms at him, Pat and Amber compel him to leave the room. When daylight approaches, they exit the club. Pat and Amber head into the woods, and they finally realize after Gabe's explanation that Darcy is creating a scene to frame the band. Amber and Pat decide to go after him, and they leave Gabe to look for a phone, and call the cops. When the two run upon the skinheads, they take their weapons, and hold them on gunpoint. As they move further, they find Darcy, trying to dispose of Sam, Tiger, and Reese's bodies, in an attempt to fabricate a new tale. They also have plans to blow up their vehicle, by placing a burning rag in the tank. After wasting some time, Pat and Amber shoot the goon. Darcy pulls a revolver in an attempt to flee, but he too is fatally shot. Pat and Amber take a seat, and bide their time till the police show up. The pit bull, who was shot earlier and was given a tranquilizer to give him a little more time to survive, is seen by them, walking quietly and lying beside his owner. Then, Pat tells Amber that he has his Desert Island band planned out. Amber gives a cold response by saying, "Tell someone who gives a crap."